Good evening, my people. Come closer. Draw your chairs nearer to the fire. This is Tales by Erike, where stories are not just told, they are felt. Tonight, I bring you a story the village elders still shake their heads about. A story of pride, silence, patience, and revenge that wore the face of wisdom. Listen carefully. The story of Dan, the man who walked like the earth belonged to him. In a village surrounded by tall iroko trees and red, stubborn earth, there lived a man called Dan. Oh, Dan. If you saw him walking, you would think he owned not just his compound, but the entire land beneath his feet.
He carries himself like a
He walked
warlord.
as though the ground should be grateful to carry him.
The elders say he demands
His chest
tribute.
was always forward, his chin always lifted, and
Keep
his
the
eyes
children
never
close.
learned the
I fear
meaning
what
of
he might do.
humility. People said Dan did not greet, he announced himself. When he spoke,
Keep the
others
children
kept
close.
quiet.
I fear what he might do.
When he laughed, it was loud and proud. And when he was angry, the air itself trembled. Dan married his first wife when he was still young and strong. Her name was Jane. Sod was not loud. She was not proud. She was the kind of woman whose presence calmed the room. Her voice was soft, her movements gentle, her heart full of patience. She knew how to cook meals that made neighbors jealous. Her soup carried comfort. Her hands carried love. From the first day she entered Dan's house, Jane tried.
I told you I wouldn't.
She woke before dawn.
Please,
She swept the
Bayo.
compound
It's
until
all
the
we
ground
have.
smiled.
Don't do this.
She washed his clothes and cooked his food
I
just
told
the
you I
way
wouldn't
she
eat this
believed a
sloppy
wife
again.
should.
Please,
But Dan-
Bayo. It's all we
Dan
have.
was never
Don't
satisfied.
Do this.
If the soup had too
I
much
told you I
pepper,
wouldn't
he
eat this sloppy
complained.
again.
If
Please,
it had too
Bayo.
little,
It's
he
all
complained.
we have. Don't do this.
If the food was perfect, he still
Look at what
complained
you've done.
because
You
fault
have
was
brought
his
shame
favorite
upon this
language.
house.
And
No,
soon,
Bayo,
words
please.
were no longer
Have
enough.
mercy.
When anger
Look
visited
at what
Dan,
you've done.
his hands
You have
followed.
brought shame upon this
He
house.
beat Jane for small
No,
mistakes.
Bayo, please.
He beat
Have
her for
mercy.
imagined disrespect. Sometimes, he beat her simply because he could. Jane cried quietly. She hid her tears in the night. She believed patience would save her. She believed love would soften him. The villagers noticed. They saw bruises that clothing could
He
not
seems
hide.
to be maltreating his wife.
They heard
oh,
muffled
poor
cries
woman.
when the night grew quiet. They whispered at the market. Dan is
He
too
seems
much.
to be maltreating his
That
wife.
woman
oh,
is
poor
suffering.
Woman.
Someone should talk to him. But no one did.
He
Everyone
seems
minded
to be
their
maltreating
business.
his wife. Oh, poor
Everyone
woman.
feared Dan. And silence became Jane's loudest enemy. One morning, Jane did not wake up. The sun rose. The birds sang. But Sod remained still. Her
He
suffering
finally
ended
killed
the
her.
way it had lived, quietly.
Such a wicked man.
When the news spread, Dan cried louder than everyone. He tore his clothes. He rolled on the ground. He shouted her name for all to hear. Oh Jane, my wife, my heart. But the elders watched closely and noticed something. His tears dried too fast. Weeks passed. Then months. And before the earth had fully settled on Jane's grave, Dan took another wife. Her name was Pearl. Pearl came from a land far away, where people asked questions before giving their daughters away. She arrived quietly, eyes lowered, voice soft. She looked humble. She looked afraid. Bayo smiled. This one will be easy, he thought. At first, Pearl behaved exactly as he expected. She obeyed. She stayed quiet. She lowered her head. And Dan treated her exactly the way he had treated Jane. He shouted. He insulted. He boasted to his friends. My wife fears me, he said proudly. That is how a woman should be. But Pearl did something strange. She never cried. Not once. Even when his voice thundered. Even when his words cut deep. She simply listened. Because unknown to Bayo, Pearl already knew him. Before marrying him, she had asked questions. She had listened to stories. She had heard about Jane. Pearl was not weak. She was a fighter. She only hid her strength the way fire hides under ashes. For 6 months, Pearl waited. She watched his habits. She studied his pride. She learned his weaknesses. And then, one evening, everything changed. Dan shouted as usual. Pearl looked at him calmly, and did not move. He shouted louder. She looked him in the eye. For the first time, she spoke back. The air froze. From that day, the tables turned. Pearl became firm like rock. Her voice grew steady. Her fear disappeared. When Dan tried to raise his hand, she stopped him. This ends today, she said.
Look at
She
what you've
reminded
done.
him of Jane,
You have brought shame upon
of the
this
silence
house.
of the villagers,
No, Bayo, please.
of the pain he had
Have
enjoyed
mercy.
causing. You will
I
now
told
live
you I
the
won't
life you
eat this slop
created,
again.
she
What
told
manner?
him.
Please, Bayo.
And Dan
It's
tasted
all
it.
we have. Don't do
The man
this.
who once strutted like a peacock began to move like a church mouse. He fetched water. He cooked food. He swept the compound. While Pearl lived like a queen, Dan carried shame like a heavy load. The villagers watched. Some laughed. Some felt pity. Some finally understood. Dan regretted everything. Pride left him. Cruelty humbled him. And too late, he learned his lesson. Moral lessons. Listen well, my people. Cruelty may feel powerful today, but it always returns wearing humility. Silence in the face of abuse is also a form of harm. Do not mistake patience for weakness, some people are only waiting. And above all, how you treat others will one day come back to meet you. Crescent Moon Tales by Erike, closing Crescent Moon. And so, my people, this is where I drop the calabash of tonight's story. If this tale touched your heart, let it rest there. This is Tales by Erike, where every story carries wisdom. Until we meet again, may wisdom follow you home.